All right, welcome everybody to the first episode of the Detonate Podcast. I'm going to be your host, it's Levoski, the CEO. I am elated to be here. First of all, I've been trying to plan for this podcast for quite some time now, so I'm really excited that we're finally getting able to record this and do this for you guys because I know the content's been stale, but we're going to beef that up, and this is definitely going to be like the start of doing that. Joining me today, we got two fellas from the active Counter-Strike roster or CS2 roster, I guess I should say. You guys can go ahead and introduce yourselves. Gibby, I guess we'll start with you.
All right, sounds good. What's up, guys? My name's Gibby, or Gibby ATL as it is in the server. I'm the main entry fragger for the Counter Strike 2 roster. Been loving it, been having a good time. So yeah, excited to be here.
So, my name is Tyson Fusion Acosta Sanchez. Pretty much the same thing. It's just playing CS2 and grinding and stuff. But it's nice to be part of an org that like wants to do as much content. So it's nice to be part of this and sit down and just talk, pretty much.
Exactly. Like we love to sit down, we love to have conversations, and we love to have fun, and that's primarily what we wanted this podcast to be. So essentially, what the Detonate Podcast is going to be for anybody who does not know, we're going to be talking about pop culture, active things that are going on in the server, out of the server, new games that are coming up, new titles that are happening, and new things that are happening in general in the gaming community. So pretty much anything that you actively is happening, we'll probably bring up a TikTok or two every now and again, just because everybody stays on TikTok nowadays. But right now, I want to go ahead and get into the roster. I want to ask you guys, how does it feel? Because for anybody that doesn't know, this roster that we have right now was the academy team previously. They've now since been promoted on to being the primary Counter Strike roster for CS2. And they're competing in advanced right now. But how are you guys feeling, man? Like, how does that feel to go from like being the academy team as long as you guys have to now being that primary roster?
I guess I'll start off. Yeah, honestly, it's like it was a big achievement for a lot of us. A lot of us been stuck in that hard stuck main phase for a while, and we finally, put together a decent run. Which I mean, some might call it a Cinderella run, like fluke run, because technically we didn't make it playoffs, but then we made playoffs, but then we made a deep run like we're supposed to, anyways. It just, I don't know. It felt like a lot of the hard work is paid off, even though we might not be putting up the numbers and everything that we want to this season. We can talk about a bit more, but it's feels good to get that promotion and that recognition. To like kind of deserve after putting it.
Yeah. I mean, one, like, me and Gibby have been teammates for like 3 years. So, like, to see us finally make like a jump that we've been like trying to obtain for like, I mean, we probably like 2.5 years now trying to
Yeah.
obtain it, like finally hitting it. It's like it felt surreal, but now like that we're in it, like it just like everything's happening so fast, especially because like the two seasons are like so close together.
Mhm.
Like it was like I think we had like 2 weeks, and the issue was like after the season ended that we made advanced, I went on like a 4 or 5 day vacation. Like I went to
Yeah.
Chicago for a bit. Then I came back and we only had like 5 days to prep CS2, which was like horrible because I wanted to like fully dive into it, but not like diving into it now. It feels okay. Of course, like we're not going the strongest that we are, but like I feel like we finally like, found a grip on the game, even though we're not showing it in like officials. But
And I feel like that's going to be the case for at least a little bit of time, just because everybody's adjusting to the new title. Nobody knows exactly what's going on. I mean, we're seeing a lot more overtimes happen, so a lot more of the games are going even throughout the course of the games, especially in officials. I think I may have been Parks or some other caster that mentioned it that said they're seeing more overtimes happen, and I guess I want to say that's because hopefully CS2 is a little more balanced, but I doubt that's the case. I think it's just everybody's still trying to figure it out, so everybody's kind of on that level playing field. So it makes it so nobody has like really like a super big upper hand over
hmm
another team. But I did want to talk a little bit about like the circumstances that happened previously. So what happened to get you guys in the playoffs? Like what was the situation? Did anybody ever talk about that or say anything about it?
From my point of view was like I think we won our last game or something. We knew we were out like
Hmm.
because we already had 5 losses, so we're like, oh, okay, like okay, we'll just grind during the thing. We'll take like 2-3 days off, and then we'll grind until I leave for Chicago. So like I think no one was in our Discord that we talking. It was literally just everyone was just out and about doing their stuff. And me and Enzo were up. I was doing homework. He was also doing homework, and then he messages our like team chat saying like, "Oh, a team just got like they lost all their wins, and one of their wins was against us." But like
They get banned or something like
I
that, or
think
was it like,
they used the agent skins.
No,
Unless
oh,
no. So it was one of the players on one of the rosters was playing on an alt account, I believe, and got caught for ban evasion, and so that what
oh,
got all their wins overturned that he was in. And unlucky for them, but lucky for us, we were one of those, and that got us into playoff.
stuff like that. I was losing it. It was like some of the best work that I've seen you guys do. And like I feel like to me, it means more that you were like, let's go out with a bang for CSGO and like make that next tier. Because that's the last season. That was it. You know, there wasn't anything more to be had from CSGO. And I feel like you guys really showed your stuff there. And obviously with the transition into CS2, you know, what's what's been some differences, you know, good or bad, doesn't even matter. What's been some differences that you've seen from CS:GO to CS2 now, especially having played official matches?
pistol rounds are like insanely important. Like
Yeah, right,
I
because
think
they
we
haven't like adjusted the economy or anything,
not
right?
at
You're
all.
just
No,
playing
they
it.
haven't touched
Yeah.
it. A single.
Okay, gosh.
So it
Yeah,
turns
it's
from like you can lose like okay, so how usually our starts are so slow, we'd lose one pistol, and then of course it's hard to win eco after.
Mhm,
And then the next we have a gun round either round 3 or 4. And then that gun round pretty much like dates the whole half for us. Like if we win that gun round and we have like 3 or 4 up, then it's like a very easy transition to continue the half. But if we
mhm,
lose that gun round and we don't get like any kills, then all of a sudden we have an eco the next round and now we're down 05, 04. And like
mhm.
an MR12 especially, like
Yeah,
going down 05, it feels rough because you're like, I mean, they already have 5 rounds winning one gun round. So it feels harder, but it just makes like every round more
matter more.
important.
Yeah,
Yeah, more important. So
that's
yeah.
that's been kind of like that's been our downfall this season. Like obviously like I was saying, like we're not putting up the wins and stuff that we want to. We're losing the teams that we shouldn't be losing to. And I think there's just kind of a mix. It's one CS2, especially the difference with MR12, and we're just having some rough starts to the game of like, like he was saying, not winning the pistol, and then it like puts us down pretty bad, especially if we lose that gun round. And
Mhm,
like look at a bunch of our games besides maybe like one or two, they've all been pretty close. Where if we would have won one of those rounds, it would have been flipped in our favor. They're one round away from us winning, and then yeah, it's MR12 money's not adjusted, and
mhm.
pistol rounds being super crucial. It's been a killer, but I think these last couple days of practice that we've had, and just sitting there talking, especially with the new coach that we just got and bringing in new ideas and uh, talking. We've had a bunch of help and a bunch of people reach out and offer help
Mhm.
because nobody likes seeing each other fail, but we've been getting a bunch of ideas. Uh, I think we could still make a solid run, and I think we could still end up with a positive record.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of what we're.
And I will say this because I want to speak on that. From my perspective, at least, you know, as an organization owner, nobody kicks each other when they're down in ACS. From what I can tell, at least from what I've observed, like if somebody's down and out and they're like not feeling like mentally all there and like they've just suffered a couple of losses and they're mentally like shot, like nobody like really goes out of their way to make them feel worse about it. And I noticed that happening sometimes in European markets where like they'll just argue like back to back and back and forth. But in ACS, it seems like you guys are way more tight knit of a community here, and I feel like we kind of have to be honest. Like we have to create our own opportunities largely because NACS has been shunned for a long time, but now we're back on top. Now we're doing a really good job with complexity leading the charge as of late in CS2, and making big moves there. And then what is it? Now we have what other companies? M80 that's just recently come in and is making big waves. Wildcard also. So we have organizations that are here in North America that believe in the vision and believe in this community in general, and that's always what I've liked about North American Counter Strike and why I've never really mentally deviated and been like, oh, I want to go over to Europe or I want to go to some other region. Even though sometimes those regions will hit up any organization just to see what the offers are and what's possible. But I've always just had like, I don't know, a softer spot because it's easier to run operations here because I'm in North America. And the players just seem, at least in my experience, really, really passionate and really hyper focused on improving. Now, that improvement doesn't always necessarily happen with some people because of the stipulations that they have, because they don't have enough money to support themselves, so they have to get a job and they're not able to commit that much time in the CS. And I actually do want your guys' opinion on that. Like, what's the balance? Like, what needs to happen? Like, what does North America like genuinely need in order to like start pushing the envelope?
I think I think we need just some bigger orgs taking more risk. I know it's hard, like like financial wise and everything, but I think some bigger orgs just needs to start taking some bigger risk on some of the upcoming talent and signing some of those younger guys and start getting them with more experienced guys. Like I think with like Wildcard, they just completely overhauled their roster and just announced it. Like I think it was Wildcard that has like they just brought in Stanislaw and a couple other
Yeah.
people. And then NRG's also they just came out and people are saying that it's going to be an NA roster, and it's just like uh, it might suck. It might not be the best for making money in the short term, but in the long term, like building up those guys, like it's crazy. Like there's so much talent in NA that just gets wasted because people don't take those chances. They keep recirculating familiar names and everything, but like you just gotta just kind of let the new guys go at it. So I think that's all it is, and take a risk and
Oh yeah,
pay
more
those
risks.
guys.
Yeah, I was about to say. So yeah, more risks basically. And I mean, obviously, you can take the calculated risk, like be smart about those risks that you're taking. From an organization's perspective, if nobody's asking you to come in, spend millions of dollars, and waste that money. But take the calculated risk and be like, hey, there's this guy. He's been fragging out and like going insane. To name a couple of people that like have been really doing was one of those players that easily could have fit the mold with like a liquid or a complexity in the case that they needed, a star opper, like because I feel like there's not a lot of people overseas that are going to know the name or know enough about him, so he becomes an X factor. Like they don't know anything about the way the kid plays. They're just gonna have to depend on their own aim and their own strategies in order to outdo the kid. But like people overseas have played against Junior, they've played against OC plenty of times. Like they're veterans basically overseas. But like when they started doing, not poorly, I wouldn't say poorly, but just like not as well as they normally do. I feel like yeah, that I want them to like justify those risks. And honestly, that's another thing. How do orgs justify that risk? Like what's the pitch to bring old or new orgs back into CS? Like how do we get like Optic back? Like what's our
Uh,
pitch for them?
I I think the main like appeal of like staying in NA is like the fan base. Like you
Mhm.
saw how quickly like on Twitter, how people like or like it's just seeing new faces, just fans of orgs, but like if if you don't have a lot of organization support like in that game, like Optic or like I mean Cloud9's like Russian now, but like they want
Mhm.
to come back to NA. Like a lot of NA fans just want to see NA. They don't really care too much about like the orgs themselves. So they don't, if the org picks up like young NA talent and they do well in like ECL and then
Mhm.
they go into Pro League, and even if they go like 02, 04, like something like that, but like they show that they can shoot well with them, they just need more time in Europe, then like NA fans are happy. I mean, I'm an NA fan, so like I'd be happy. Like
Yeah.
seeing like there's some people in ECL that I played a couple years ago, like when I make Pro League or like get like a sponsorship, like it would feel cool because like all of the people that I play against now, or like in main or advanced or like even scrim against, were the same people that we were playing in an open. So it feels like the whole community as a whole, at least like EC or Face It League, have got up somewhat together.
Yeah.
So if we see it in like open, I am
Yeah.
main,
Y'all are
like
basically down in the trenches together, man. Y'all are the
yeah.
ones that are coming up
So like
together.
we just want to see as many people succeed as possible. Like
Yeah.
not only does it open opportunities for us because they have more opportunities, like it just opens opportunities for like everyone, right? We just love seeing everyone. So like just the main thing is you want to have, if you do commit to NA, you'll have backing from like 95% of, and just love NA.
Yeah.
They don't really
Yeah.
have an org allegiance.
Yeah, I
I,
actually want to talk about that dynamic. And Gibby, I don't mean to interrupt you,
I
but I want to talk about the dynamic of basically you guys doubling as like the NACS fans, and this by the same metric, you're also the NACS players. Like in the case that you guys, qualified into something to go overseas, you're basically your own biggest fan in a lot of cases. So what's the dynamic like for that? Like, because at any point you could literally go from, oh, I'm cheering for these guys because they represent NACS overseas, to being that team that is NACS going overseas. So like now y'all are at that point where in advance you're kind of in the trenches to basically qualify into international tournaments. So like what's that been like to mentally adjust yourself from the main mindset to like now an advanced or a semi-pro mindset?
I you know honest I don't think it's hit us yet. I think we've like we've like obviously joked about like, hey, we're semi pros now because of
Yeah.
like where we're at, and like technically yes, but technically we're not quite there. But I think we've been real like too focused kind of on our own game. um but like at the same time I've seen that kind of like that support come out where like people are starting to recognize this more. And we've even like for me anyways, I've seen some of my social media like like pick up more and see more like new people everywhere. And it's just it's one of those things. It's like, hey, it's like I can be that guy where people like look up. It's like I want to get to where he's at. And then at the same time, like I'm still that guy. I'm like I'm looking at some guys in like ECL. It's like that's still where I want to go. Like we're
Mm-hmm.
still watching them. It's kind of like a it's like a 50-50. It's like, hey, we're still we're in that like
Like head on the nail is like when we were in open, we were looking at people in like advanced, like, oh, like we want to get to that point. So we were kind of like looking up to them. Like, of course, when you're open, there's really not one looking up to you. But
Mm-hmm.
like when you're looking up to, you have usually you just have to take one step at a time. So you're looking at like I am main stuff like that. So seeing people that and I am and open like follow our social medias, or especially like Enzo and Trick. So it's like the same thing as like you're playing against these guys in scrims, but then you're watching them against like ECL or in like cash. No, I guess it's not. They're not cash cups anymore, but like other tournaments like I think there's like Atlanta, ESL Atlanta event,
Yeah.
like the Open Qualifier or something.
Yeah, the open
So
qualifier that's going to be
yeah,
coming up because there's an ESL Challenger event that's going to be
yeah.
happening there.
So like scrimming against those, but then watching them play, like it hasn't hit because it doesn't feel surreal because we're not the ones playing there, but like we're pretty much 1 degree removed. Like we're scrimming the people that are going to these events. So I mean, eventually it should hit us and be like, oh, like we are pretty much there, like fighting other orgs or other teams that are up there, like qualifying for everything. We just, like I said, a step removed.
Yeah.
So once we get to, I mean, once we probably get to that point where we're going to like traveling more for these events, like of course we're going to like the Frag Chicago event,
Mhm.
but like the more pres- prestigious ones, then I think that's when you can be like,
Yeah.
we.
What would be the next like major frag? That's frag 18 that would be
Yeah, I
or
think
Yeah,
they're
I think
planning
it's
it
Frag
next
18.
year. Frag
yeah,
18.
I was about to say because like I went to 17. I did not go to 16, but I did go to 15. So I skipped one frag. I think it was one major frag. But I'm glad that you guys are starting to get to that point where like, all right, look, if we're gonna improve, we need to be going to like these LAN tournaments. We need to be playing against like some of the best players in like in a more open setting, especially for like circuits and group play, because that makes it so it diversifies your talent pool a little bit more. Obviously, sometimes everybody can't get off to go to the LAN tournaments, but it's good to have that experience and build that rapport because then people start, knowing who you are, knowing your name in the community, and you can start really building a reputation for yourself as an entry fragger, a support, an opper, whatever your role may be. So I'm glad that you guys are going to be going to that. I still haven't even decided, but having just started the new job, I'm like, I don't even know.
Yeah.
I have no clue what my schedule is going to look like even tomorrow, just because of how hectic things have been for me. But for right now, that's definitely been like good talks for the Counter Strike bit. We're gonna move on into some more, but it's gonna be right after this breaks. We're gonna actually have a few ads for you guys if you're watching. So make sure you check those out. It's going to be with our sponsor, Be Quiet. So check that out, and we'll see you in a second. What's going on, everybody? I hope you're enjoying the podcast so far. But let me talk to you real quick. Life is full of more than enough noisy, rattling distractions as it is. Nobody wants to come home from a long day, sit down at their desk, and listen to their loud computer while they're gaming, especially if you're like me and you're grinding out ranked hours upon hours of the day. You need a reliably built PC without all those little distractions that's going to come with it. So that's why Detonate is partnered with Be Quiet, who works every single day to prevent additional noise from your PC. Be Quiet products are exclusive developments packed with innovative technology and presented with timeless design like you see here from the Shadow Base 800 case with exceptional airflow, ensuring your desktop stays quiet 24/7. If you're looking to up your game this holiday season, look no further than Be Quiet's brilliant German engineered products. You can shop today on bequiet.com/en for the English version of the website. Now, with that said, let's turn it back over to the Detonate podcast that you've been enjoying so far. And thank you for watching. All right, welcome back from that ad break. Thank you guys so much if you've been watching this entire time. We're going to continue the conversation because we were already talking about NACS and the team and, you guys being a part of Detonate. But also I wanted to talk about some topics that are around NACS but not necessarily pertaining to us. ESL, FACEIT, and the biases that have been happening with the competitive rulings. I believe it was Drew the Shrew in on Carry Esports, and them basically being not allowed to continue competitive play because they no longer are able to change, like changing new players or adding any new players. But they allowed Steel and the B&B team to make more changes, uh, even though they technically fall under that competitive ruling too. So I'm be honest, I'm kind of a bystander when it comes to that sort of thing. So I was trying to figure out, what's going on happening in the first place. But I did want to get your guys' opinion on what happened. So Gibby, tell me what's going on with this.
All right, so so basically from what I got is Bad News Bears, which I don't know the exact rules and everything. I haven't really read through them. But they they somehow broke through the rules of the roster restrictions, and the admins let them do it. And I don't know if it was because of the name that it had like associated with it and the players and everything. But with Drew's team and them not letting it do it, and it was like they even like the admin even admitted it and like their screenshot that he posted. And I was like, look, I think it's like you made it a mistake. It's like you have to make that mistake right and let someone else do it. It's like you can't just like I just because like maybe a certain name's associated with it or something like that doesn't grant them any kind of privilege there when
Yeah,
it just ruined the competitive like integrity of it. I feel like, and it's like if one exception's made for a team, it should be made for everybody else, especially in how competitive and like how the scene is, especially with like everybody's trying to build up the NACS scene, and this just kind of like was just like a punch in the neck about it, like to
yeah,
it.
yeah. And I think somebody had a quote in relation to it. Wasn't even in relation to this particular scenario, but they said Premier Esports premiere or taken seriously until rule sets are followed and upheld. And this was the scenario that I immediately thought of when I saw that tweet come across. I still call him tweet. I'm not. I still, I still, like, I thought of that immediately when I saw that tweet, and I was just like, you guys like can't have a competitive ruling only for one team and then let another team just Dylan, the boys on B&B, they've definitely been through a lot that they have to deal with. But like that doesn't have anything to do with not allowing another team to do something when you just created an exception for another one. So I don't know, man. I just feel like the less and less we do that, the more people will take North American Counter Strike seriously. But when we can't be taken seriously in the league and from a player's perspective, then it just makes the whole thing look like a clown fiesta. And it's going to deter them. Like if we want Optic back or
Yeah.
we want NRG to really hard commit to coming back, like what's going to happen when that happens to one of them and they say, oh, this other team was allowed to, but not you guys because you haven't been here as long as this other organization.
Yeah.
Like that's going to be bullshit. Like, yeah,
I
but
just
yeah,
think the rule
Fusion.
is stupid. like,
Yeah,
like,
Yeah.
like in all honesty, I just think it's kind of dumb. Like, I know like it's to prevent teams for like oh we lost one game, let's drop 4 people and pick 4 new people up. But like the circumstances that were provided, I feel like they could be somewhat lenient or like at least try and be as helpful as possible. I feel like, which like they just let steal kind of like okay or bad news bears in this case, and then sorry they kind of just like eh, at for this season you just either let everybody do it or go back and revert what bad news
yeah,
bears did. Like I think it was too late, so you can't pick move the fence right.
yeah,
You have to put it down. And then you're right, like it's gonna deter orgs because what if it was like NRG that like try to pick up right, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh, we can't play in ECL anymore. Something happened in real life, and now all of a sudden
yeah,
it just screws everything over. So I just think the rule is dumb.
yeah,
I hate roster rules. Like there's some like I know it's to like what Tyson said. It's to like deter people from just doing like complete rebuilds in the middle of a season or anything like that. But there's just some roster rules that I feel like shouldn't even be a thing, especially with some of the stuff that could happen. But I mean,
Yeah.
it is what it is. But nah, it getting screwed out of a season and then pretty much making a guy retire from competitive Counter Strike because of it and just killing the scene more. It's not a good look. Stuff needs to be made right.
Yeah, and that's actually what I want to consider is that like you're already making this a poor situation work essentially. Like the players are already discouraged about North American Counter Strike in general because of the lack of money and the lack of opportunities that they see versus their counterparts in South America and in Europe. So I don't feel like the competitive ruling helps the standpoint in the slightest if you're going to uphold them to a rule set, especially if you didn't even edit that rule set after you changed how long the season's going to be. Because the CS2 season is twice as long, I believe. It's like 4 or 5 months,
It's like
right?
4 months now, 5 months.
Yeah. So like you need to have more roster changes in that amount of time because they're used to after 2 months or 3 months being able to make the roster changes that they need to so that they can go into the next competitive season. But now they're having to adjust to the likelihood of basically having to stay with the same 4 or 5 core uh, for half a year almost. And while that's good, it encourages people to want to stay together, stick it out with your teammates because I've always been a proponent of that. But it's not everyone's reality. You got to be realistic when it comes to that. It's not everybody's reality that you can't stick it out with the same 3 or 4 individuals for two. Party Astronauts and Bad News Bears, they stayed together for like a year and a half, and they stuck it out, and it worked out for them. That's a good storyline for them because it's an unlikely thing to happen. But trying to make that everyone's storyline, especially with the with not the with the creation of the new game, but just with the release of the new title and moving everybody into it. Oh man, honestly, now that I think about it, that whole thing was fucked because like they did it in the middle of the season too.
Yeah,
So like
mid
it
season, mid
they
game
changed from
switch.
Go to CS2.
Yeah,
Like
yeah. It was everything about it was just I think poorly done. Like I think they extended the ECL season switch game.
yeah. I'm genuinely at that point, and I've actually told other owners this where I think staying in advanced is more valuable than ECL because of the con fiesta of things and changes that they've done. Like I would have been livid if I still had my ECL team and in the middle of the season they have to change from Go CS2. Like at that point, man, why didn't we just stick it out? Why didn't we just stay, as we were? Because like I don't know, man. Like yes, I'll face it. I want to believe. I want them to take the time and get everything together. I still thoroughly am a fan of competitive Counter Strike, but the competitive integrity bit has to be more of a focus. Like I can't see stuff like that happening and justify spending a ridiculous sum of money to be in ECL or in the Pro League if those are the rulings that you guys are making. I'm sorry, I can't. I don't want to be a part of that, and I'm pretty sure that's the reason a lot of players are like, yeah, I don't want to be a part of that. They
Big
would rather
deterrent.
go. Like we had I don't know how many players, but like we had a number of players that are like, I'm not gonna go play ACL. It's crazy over there. I'm gonna go play in open, or I'm gonna go
Yeah,
play in advanced with like these friends that I have. But like we're at the point where the players are genuinely trying to avoid being in ECL because of how crazy it is up there, and it just can't happen, man. Like it's just ridiculous.
yeah. I don't know like what's gone on because like like for us like from open to advanced like you don't really have any kind of crazy issues and like obviously like it feels like just a different like tier, but it's like that's like open to advance is fine. Then like that league is just like it always seems like there's some kind of issue, and then like you get out of that league and it's like everything's fine with like tier 1 and everything. It's like something about that just needs to be overhauled. Um, you know,
I thought they were gonna like. I think they upped the team to like is it 18 now or something?
I think they up the teams too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
So
it's
they
like
upped the
16 now.
teams. Like I thought it was a good change. I thought like maybe it
Mhm.
would start clicking, but then like integrity, the switch from Go to 2, and
Yeah,
like all this and that. It kind of just like doesn't feel like. I mean, it feels like a Joker league right now. Like there's some people taking it like super seriously, which they should, of course, because that's the league they're playing in. There's some people that are like, okay, like it's just a bad rep right now.
yeah,
So they're like, we'll
yeah.
play
The
because
bad
we can.
reputation is just making them not care. Like,
Exactly. So they're
it,
like, well, we
it
can make it again through advance. So like,
it's like they
yeah,
play. It's like they play in the league to play in the league, but what they really care about outside of it
yeah.
that that end up meaning more.
yeah.
It's kind of ridiculous.
And I was honestly of the mindset where I started telling teams that like, hey, these qualifiers that are happening, these cash cups that are happening, prioritize them like way more. If you can move a game in official, just move it, man. Like,
Yeah.
like I was literally telling teams to like just focus on the qualifiers. It's honestly like a better use of your time in general.
I wish they would just bring MDL back. Like the early days of MDL, like
Yeah,
going, like having the whole online season and then like finishing it off on land and everything. Like,
yeah. I like the
that was
idea of that.
sick. That was sick.
Yeah,
Like having like an online season like that for like a tier of Counter Strike that is, and then finishing it off at a land, even if it's like a multi-part event where it's like hey, it's like you can. Honestly, it's about to be a sick idea. I feel like it's like so you have that. Oh, dude, this is about to be sick. I feel like I'm cooking right now. So look, so you have like the normal like MDL like play all online, and then like at the end like have like the playoffs or something happen at like on land or something. But at the same time have like another kind of land for other people to go play. So there's kind of two events going. But you can also meet all the pros and everything and talk. I don't know. I think that'd be sick.
hey, you gotta go.
I'm cooking. I'm
like,
cooking. Someone hit me
like
up. Someone hit me up.
let's say we're gonna have Gibby's money league. Let's go.
Oh, let's go. Run it.
Shouts to
Run
Big
it.
and
Write
Tall
it
Matt.
down.
That's
Someone hit me up. Hit the Twitter DMs.
you and Big and Tall Matt actually. Y'all should hit each other up because
Dude, I actually think Big and Tall Matt is around me. I think he's in DC. Uh,
wait,
who's in DC then?
um
Um,
who
I
does
feel
live
like
in DC?
someone's around me. I can't remember who, but
I
no,
feel like there is a caster that lives in DC. I want to say I don't know if it was Boggs or someone else, but I know there's another caster that is on that. So
yeah,
uh
there's someone around me. I know. I thought it was Big and Tall, but yeah, I'm pretty
yeah.
sure there's someone around me in DC that I haven't talked to.
There's got to be. It's got to be. I mean, it's. I recently learned how many Counter Strike players there are in Atlanta. I was like, wait, you play here too? Oh wait, you play here too? You play here too? Like, I kept meeting like every team I picked up, there was one person that was in Atlanta, like every single time. Maybe I
That'd be
actually
me.
thought you were.
Yeah,
That's I thought
that
you
would
were.
be me, but I moved. I moved.
Yeah, I was about to say you
I
moved
keep
on
the
me.
ATL. I keep
I
the
was about to say you gotta put Gibby DC, man. I didn't know. Like
ATL.
somebody might get the wrong idea with Gibby. I wouldn't use
I keep the Atlanta.
it. Yeah. But also I want to talk about the changes obviously that have happened with the ESL obviously is I feel like a part of the larger changes that are happening in esports and gaming right now too. Uh primarily the layoffs. I think a lot of the ecosystem for competitive video games, like the whole infrastructure is just shifting because what is it? EG, 100 Thieves, Bungie, Esports Engine, Epic Games, Activision Blizzard, all these companies just recently having like more and more layoffs and like personally, I feel like it can be a good thing, but it sucks for them right now because of how many people are without jobs. Because now, if they're all in that same talent pool and they're all looking for new opportunities, it makes it so it's really difficult to pick and choose, who in that talent pool is going to be best of the best, because everyone, as far as what I've met, at least, in esports and gaming, everyone is so talented are in this industry. I'm just like, man, I don't feel like I'm doing that, Like I feel like I got to learn what they're learning in order to keep up. But like the talent pool in esports and gaming, because everyone like has done it as a passion, first and foremost, makes it so that there's it sucks that these people are out of a job, but it also makes for new opportunities, because for esports engine or for Activision Blizzard, those individuals that were working production, they might want to be like, you know what, let's found our own production company, let's do our own thing. Or they might, go and bring their expertise now into one of the other companies. The same thing will happen with EG, 100 Thieves, and any other esports teams. Some of them might, want to go over to M80 because M80 is hot right now. They're on a tear. They got new ownership and everything. I think they just had like some tennis player like literally
Yeah.
today
Yeah.
Or even
that's
Crew.
like a part of their ownership. But like or Crew, yeah, because they got Masai. So like they could go work with those companies, or they could be like, you know what, we've learned enough. We could go start our own fucking thing, and then there's more available esports teams that are out there that are doing big things and changing up the ecosystem and shifting the mode, because obviously for a long time esports for these organizations just wasn't sustainable with the way that they're doing it, so we're having to shift the way that we're going about it, and it's happening at all levels. Like it's publishers, it's production, it's developers, it's the esports organizations themselves. So we'll probably see a lot more people diversifying out into like agencies or marketing firms and things like that. But I want to know what you guys think, having seen all this and being like, is it like discouraging from your perspective, or like, how do you
I
feel about
mean,
it?
so I got into esports like watching like the Legends, like the
Hmm.
LCS. So like seeing like EG was not wasn't there from the beginning, but
Yeah.
like when I became like a super fan and started watching all this, or like even like EGCS, seeing all this and that, and then now hearing stories of the stuff that
Hmm.
came out from like their Valorant team, how like
Yeah.
they were like complete bare bones. It's a little disheartening, but like it's also just like a shock reality. Like it's just how it's been since COVID hit, and
Mhm.
even like a little bit before that. 100 Thieves, I'm like surprised considering that they're still like a little bit like up and coming, and how much like it's a little it's deterring, or it's like it's bad knowing that that's possible, like how quick it can happen,
Yeah.
but like it's still a goal that you want to achieve. Want to either be a bigger org or like one of the bigger NA orgs, or just stuff like that. Just because when you're in gaming or content creation or like anything, being at the top is just nice. It does suck seeing how quick like, people turn on EG, their CS team. Like
Yeah. Well, their
after
whole organization now.
their whole org
People
actually
are
just got turned on like
people.
It's
Yeah,
gonna be so
EG is
like
sad.
just getting turned on
Yeah.
in
like
general,
EG
and it's
League has
yeah,
been turned on as fast as, I mean, last year was pretty bad, but like now it's their
yeah,
whole organization has kind of just been down the gutter, like ever like
yeah,
so. I mean, you get made or broken from fans, right? So
It's like I feel like esports was taking like a huge boom, and I feel like there was a bunch of money being invested that was just not being returned, and I think we're just now seeing the downhill, the downside of that. Which I mean, it sucks, but like you're saying that a bunch of new opportunities could come out from it, and we could just see another like bigger and better rise from it.
yeah,
But like how EG's doing it. I feel like EG took probably one of the worst ways to do any of it.
the worst way, did
Yeah, probably the
everything wrong.
worst way. I feel like there's more haters than fans now for EG.
yeah.
Uh, like
They're infamous at this point. Yeah,
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 now
no,
it's
it's
that's
bad. It's
literally
bad.
like what
Uh,
that's literally what EG is out there, and
uh,
it kind of sucks for that organization, because like when I was just a volunteer, you know, in college and all of that, EG at the time in like 2012, 2013, they were the big dogs, especially in the FGC. Like they had all of the best fighting game players, literally all of them. So they had at one point they had Sonic Fox, they had Justin Wong, they had like all of these really good fighting game players because that's what I watched primarily. I did watch the LCS a little bit, but definitely not as much as like fighting games, Street Fighter, Smash Ultimate, those types of things. EG had like everybody, and then out of nowhere, they just were like, "Yeah, we're out of the FGC completely. We don't want anybody from the FGC." Most of those individuals went over to like NRG and whatnot, and then they realized fighting games isn't really that sustainable, which by all means is fine. There's definitely like an avenue in fighting games, but I'd say it's more player focused than it is team focused. So like you have to like really centralize yourself around those players and like make that content, and they weren't making that content. They were kind of depending on everybody else to make the content about those players, and that's where I think they weren't smart about it. Like it absolutely been something where they were trying to capitalize on the opportunity, and it just kind of all felt. But yeah, when it comes to competitive games, though, I did see like one post where people were trying to say that competitive games is really stale, and I think they only played like Call of Duty Warzone and stuff like that. But like, I thought that was funny in general. But then like, people were also complaining in other games saying how stale Counter Strike Go was before we actually knew what CS2 is like that CS2 was happening and all that. So CS:GO hit a stale point. I think it was I think League of Legends and Valorant were hitting like content stale points as well. But then like the couch gaming scene was like, you know what? Are you guys bored with those
Yeah.
competitive games? We're gonna release like every dope couch gaming like experience that you've ever seen. They had like God of War came out, Horizon Zero Dawn, Spider-Man,
Crazy, man.
Starfield, Baldur's Gate, Final Fantasy. I was like, bro, they're cooking over here. I personally like. I mean, like anybody, I grew up on couch video games, so like sometimes I'll fluctuate from like the competitive side and be like, all right, what's a game I feel like I could play and like commit enough time to. And the couch games experience has been phenomenal. Like I've been playing Spider-Man, and oh my god, that is an experience. I still need to play Spider-Man 2. I know it's plenty of people out there that have already played through the game, already experienced it. Don't y'all spoil shit for me. I'm telling you now. No, nobody hit my DMs and spoiled me about Spider-Man 2. All right, like I'll fight y'all about that.
I know
But
people that have beat it in like 10 hours. Like the second it
yeah,
was
they
released,
beat
they
it
say that
so
like
Yeah,
quick.
dude.
they
Yeah.
just don't care. They just speed run it. And like my brother is like he's like an average couch gaming, loves like Spider-Man 2, waiting for the new Wolverine, stuff like that.
Yeah,
So like what they do is like one of their friends buy it and then they run it and then they kind of just like all recycle the game because they just PS5 share
I'm
it.
like, bro, what happened to the era of like people that want to 100% the game?
He 100%ed Spider-Man 2 trophies and everything.
For real,
Within
man.
like a weekend. It was ridiculous. You know,
In
like
a
I don't have a
like
PlayStation, so
that's still kind of
That's
impressive though. Like
that's
I
that's
insane.
didn't even
still
I
crazy.
wouldn't even have called him like like a crazy like
Gamer.
gamer in that sense, but I think it's Spider-Man's just one of those games where they kind of just goes hard and people just play it.
Yeah, I mean, he is kind of like a really popular. If you think about like everything Spider-Man that's come out in the last like 5-6 years with Miles Morales and like the movies and whatnot, they're kind of cooking. They got No Way Home, they got Into the Spider-Verse, they got all the games that come out. Like Spider-Man sales are probably going like
Uh,
insane, like
Yeah.
individually.
To the moon,
Yeah,
100%.
like they're probably
Everything
Even
Spider-Man.
higher.
yeah,
Everything
like
everything is Spider-Man now. It's funny.
yeah. You see that kind of stuff like everywhere. Like I think it was like MomoCon or something last year. Some anime gaming convention that happened, and a bunch of people just dressed up as a bunch of different Spider-Man. So like everyone was a different type of Spider-Man. And they all just congregated in this lobby, and they were all just doing the like Spider-Man meme
pointing
and
me.
pointing at
Doing
each
the
other.
doing the meme.
Like,
It's like
yeah. Yeah, I love seeing stuff like that, especially seeing that impact just come from a couch gaming experience or just a couch entertainment thing, because a lot of people watch movies, just from home. They don't even go out to the theater. They just watch it at home, or they play the game at home. So seeing like we've seen how esports, can impact a lot of people at once, but to see that couch gaming can still do the exact same thing is it makes me genuinely happy. I think we're in like a new golden age of
oh
gaming,
yeah.
because like
100.
competitive video games is in a really good spot and couch video games is in a really good spot. So no matter what, you're getting something done.
Yeah, I mean
100%.
the most recent one I tried to beat was the first God of War on the
Yeah.
PS4. Like I can't. Ever since I was young, I've been playing like Gears of War.
Okay.
It's competitive because my uncle was a pro, so I just followed him. So
Yeah.
I would always play Gears of War, and then I played Gears of War for like 10 years, and then switched to CS. I haven't,
You
I
haven't you
haven't,
haven't
I
touched
haven't done any couch gaming. So like seeing all this stuff is kind of like surreal to me. Because growing up, I know like everyone loved playing. Oh, I didn't even know it was like Fable. Like that was a pretty good
Oh, dude,
game.
Fable was
Fables.
Like
Fables
all,
good.
all those like even like the COD campaigns, like everyone loved playing those. But like I was always just like grinding with my uncle playing Gears of War 3 or 2, and
Yeah.
that's all we played. So, like I didn't really see the appeal, but like now seeing it now, like my brother in like living room, I think he's playing it right now. Actually, he's like playing Spider-Man 2. Like
Mm.
seeing it is like okay, maybe I do want to try my hand at it.
Yeah.
But like someone that only played competitive games growing up, seeing like seeing all these couch games get like bigger and bigger, it's like okay, maybe I don't need to like always grind
All
like
right, so
20
I
hours a
need
day.
to. So we're gonna get some people to find Fusion on Twitter and send him whatever game you feel like is a good starter, a single player game for him
Yeah,
to try to get
because
into it.
I
Somebody
mean,
send him something. Clearly,
I
Spider
started
Man's not
Cyber.
it. Don't send him Spider Man.
Yeah.
But
I
like,
tried Cyberpunk, couldn't get into it. I tried.
Cyberpunk's good, but
we're,
What is
we're,
it?
we're, we'll we will get the masses to find something for you.
Like
oh
I
yeah,
ca-
There's got to
there
be
would be
something out
something.
there.
There would
I
be
just
something.
can't. I just like
Well,
see. I just love winning and other people losing. So like, it can't do that in a single player game. So
it's dude, couch gaming is like such a good breath of fresh air, especially for us. Like how many hours we put into comp and practicing and everything. It's pretty much gotten to like a second job for me. And then like the weekends where we just like don't play anything and I could just like lay back in my chair and play and chill, listen to music and enjoy it. It's such a breath of fresh air, especially since that's what I grew up doing.
Well, all right, Fusion. Let's think about this though, because like sometimes like you're gonna be traveling to land coming up here soon. What about like the handheld games? Something on your phone or something on the Nintendo Switch or something.
I
What
played
about those?
I played TFT.
My man's just,
TFT?
my man,
Yeah.
my man's
How?
gonna
How
get
did
Clash of Clans, bro.
you gonna buy airport
No,
Wi-Fi or something
I
and
have
play
it on. Yeah,
TFT?
use my
Oh,
data or something, or like if I bring my Switch, I play Mario Kart online. Like
It's
you
I
always
got
haven't
something
played a Legend
competitive
of
with
Zelda
this guy.
game. I
you just
haven't
got to be
played
the best, bro.
like even when we have like days off and like I want to chill game, I just play League of Legends ranked and chill.
Fusion, I think you might be the reason that we ended up getting Tetris 99.
Oh, I love playing Tetris 99 too. Yeah.
Like, why didn't
The,
we get versus Tetris, bro? The
No,
game we're supposed to
the
beat the
only
game. Like,
the only game I play like that's single player is like solitaire, but like even then
dude,
is
always on solitaire. It's
like
always on solitaire.
but like even then is like oh I don't if I don't I'm competing against my like score, right? So if I don't beat it in like 3 minutes, I'm like oh well it sucks, and then I just queue
can't
it.
turn the.
I play it
Well,
again.
we gotta teach
Cute.
Fusion how to turn the competition off
No,
sometimes, man.
I
We
can't.
gotta we gotta teach you. We gotta teach you to
It's
relax.
actually it's pretty bad actually. Like my friends were like they're like oh you want to play like we tried playing I think a couple years ago. It was like, oh I forgot what the game was called. A Tom Clancy game. Ghost Recon. We tried playing that, but then it was just like I couldn't like take a co-op game seriously. So I'm like, yeah, let me just run in guns blazing, put it on the hardest mode and like
And
kill as
just
many
yeah,
NPCs as
just
possible. And then it was like, dude, like take it seriously. I'm like, I am. Like, look, I'm killing everyone. Like, I just couch gaming has never had like a full appeal, but like I mean now it's been kind of like in my mindset because me and my brother live together and he's always playing Spider-Man
Yeah.
2 or he's been playing like I mean he just beat God of War like the I think the second one on the 5 so like
Yeah.
I have avenues to try it but like
You know
I'd
what,
rather
Gibby? Hey Gibby, I'm gonna make this suggestion for Fusion real quick. So I mentioned this before the podcast, but like with the K-pop stuff in the background, right? You gotta like anime, right? Yeah.
yeah.
All right, cool. So here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna introduce 5. I think that'll be the game for you because that's like the pinnacle of like anime single player game. Like
I heard about it.
yeah, you
Uh,
might like
He's-
that. I don't know. I don't know.
we
I
got
don't
we got
know.
some we got
But
some
like
games to try in Chicago coming up in a
let's say
couple weeks.
we'll
So
throw some game we will throw some games at Fusion until something sticks.
if I'm not playing a competitive game, I'm watching something competitive. Even if
you
like
just gotta
I'm
get into
watching,
speed running.
I wanted to get into speedrunning, but I'm just bad. Like
Speedrunning is hard to be good at,
yeah,
man.
like I wanted to get into like the Mario 64. Like I saw speedrunning in that, and like I don't know if you guys know the YouTube Summoning Salt, like, watching his videos, like those
I've heard
hour
of
long
them.
speedrunning videos. I want to get it. Like it seems fun, but like then again, it's just like couch gaming again.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
Yeah, I
well,
mean, with speed running, it's mostly about like how quickly can you break the game and
mm,
get around like most of the mechanics that are in it. I still to this day enjoy watching people break the shit out of Super Mario 64. Like
yeah,
I don't get tired of that. Like I'll be scrolling, literally scrolling TikTok, and people are still figuring out speed running
yeah.
on a God. That game came out in like what 98 or something like that.
I don't know. I'm looking up. I
It's
have no clue.
I was about to say
He's like,
it's
What?
forever
No.
far away. Wait, that's probably after future. That's fair.
Yeah,
like the
but
uh,
year I was.
I think like what's running game? There's another Mario game where like each level has been like framed down perfectly. That there's only like
mhm,
4 frames left that they can save in a speed run,
yeah,
and like keeping up with that is like it's so fun to watch.
I
But
bet.
it just like I said, it like to dumb it down, it goes down to just couch gaming again. So no,
Yeah, I just feel like gaming's in a really good spot right now, man. I'm enjoying watching you guys play CS2. I'm enjoying watching, CS2 in general. Honestly, like I feel like it's the perfect time for NACS to really get back on top. And I'm loving all of like the couch video games that I've been able to play. Man, I'm in a really good spot. I feel like the community in general just in a really good spot for overall. But we're gonna wrap up the podcast right here, man. That's gonna be the episode 1. Thanks so much, everybody. Who might be watching. Honestly, I say everybody like it ain't like 2 people.
thanks,
It's like
mom.
we're gonna say
Yeah.
thank you, mom. Thanks, dad.
Thanks, mom.
Like for watching this
Thanks all
episode.
the boys.
Like, thank y'all, the homies. That was like, you know what? Thank y'all for watching.
Thank you,
This
future me, when I'm watching this again in bed.
Yeah.
exactly. It's just
Because
gonna be me.
no,
Like
I'll
shouts
be
out to
I'll be 20
Levoski, shouts
views.
out to Fusion, shouts out to Gibby because we're gonna be the 3 viewers for sure.
Yep.
But no, thanks so
100%.
much. If you have watched this full episode, I really hope you enjoy it. Can't wait for episode 2. We're gonna talk about more stuff. Then, obviously, there's probably gonna be a few things that happen. We're gonna try to make these episodes monthly. But if there's something that pops up, then and we just gotta turn the cameras on, we'll do it. We're gonna be popping these out as often as we possibly can, and I'm really excited for it. And thank you guys. Thank you, Gibby. Thank you, Fusion, for being a part of the podcast. Where can people find more stuff for you guys? Like, what do you want people to follow you?
Yeah, so 2 places you can find me. The main one's gonna be my Twitter, at Gibby underscore ATL. Tweet a bunch of stuff there, and then stream most of the league matches and other games at twitch.tv/Gibby underscore ATL. Best 2 places you can find me.
Find me on Twitter. My name is like saying it out loud is like, oh, it's Fusion with 3 U's and a Z. So try and find me there. But
I was about to say
if
we'll pop up the
yeah,
ad
I think it would probably be better
on the
because
screen.
Best.
We'll pop the ad up on the screen just so
saying
that
it
people
out
know.
loud, I just feel like, oh, I'm 12. Yeah.
But yeah, make sure you guys follow them. Make sure you guys tune into the next episode where we talk about, even more stuff just like this, or hopefully something, something new comes up. But stay tuned for that. And thank you so much. Y'all have a good night. Thank you so much for tuning in. Y'all later.